Hello, love. I'm Aspen. I'm an embodiment coach, and today's video is all about resourcing. So somatic resourcing, really embodying resources so that you're not having to do this alone, so that you have more power, more capacity, more ability to navigate through life. And so why I think resources are so cool, and I'll go into a little bit more about what that actually means, but why I find them so powerful and supportive is because there's something so beautiful in not having to do it all yourself, not having to be alone in it. So when we're able to resource, it's almost as if we are using a little bit of magical powers, right? We're not having to push through, persevere, figure it all out on our own. And it brings up a beautiful support system. You feel like you have more freedom, more agency, more capacity, more ability, all of these things that I feel are really freaking empowering. So to speak briefly about what resources are, and then we'll dive into a bajillion of them. So resourcing for me is drawing in, bringing something else in to support me. So you can resource in nature, you can resource in an empowered archetype, you can resource within your body, building safety, pleasure, all of these different ways in which you can kind of tap in or tune into basically a different energy. That's what we're resourcing in, is how to evoke that within us to support us. So some of the kind of basic somatic resources, so that means that it's body-based, they directly connect and tune into your body, your system. And those are things that actively engage the body, like walking, going for a walk, doing any type of mindful movement. So that's yoga, that's dance, that's exercise. And you may be able to feel into, if you've experienced that, when you go for a walk, when you move mindfully in a dance class or a yoga class, or even just exercising, how that can be really grounding and calming and empowering because you're focusing on your body and you're not so much in the past or the future or worried or telling stories or kind of stuck up here. So that is a way to move into a more resource state in your body. Same with bringing your hands literally to your body. One of my favorite things to resource in is bones, is bringing my focus and attention to the bones of my body, bringing my hand to my head. And you can try this. You can feel, my body immediately took a deep breath. You can feel just a bit of a shift when you start to connect to the structure and bones in your body. Same with hips, if you feel your hip bones. Bringing hands to your body and feeling what type of touch feels good for you as a resource. So sometimes it feels really good to feel, oh, this is my container, like a little bit more of a tight touch. Sometimes it feels good to have a nice soft touch. And all of these things that we've spoken about so far are doing a similar thing. They're shifting the awareness from the thinking self into the feeling self. And when you're feeling your bodily sensations and physical sensations, you're directly contacting the life that is here, which means you're right here in this moment, which is freaking huge, right? I mean, there's so much science now that backs mindfulness, and really, it's really juicy. And it's so simple, and so it can be discounted. Like if you're thinking like, oh yeah, I just gotta touch my body and like take a breath and that's gonna really help me with life. I work with lots of people, and you start to see that these little simple things have huge rippling effects. Because at the end of the day, we're animals and we have bodies, and they are capable of so much when we start to use them as such, when we start to befriend our bodily sensations and create an empowered relationship to our experience instead of, right, fighting it and doing this, which I get it. I do that. And I know what that feels like, and then I know what it feels like when I'm softening instead of contracting, when I'm opening and allowing, when I'm befriending, and when I'm really here. So to move into some more. Some more beautiful resources that I find supportive are taking resource in beauty. So once again, looking and really appreciating beauty. Like if you look at a child, they are resourcing all the time, right? They will stop and they will zoom in and see something that you wouldn't have seen. And so taking in the beauty in the simplest things, right? Plant, the way that the light catches something in the room. So resourcing in beauty can really help soften and calm your nervous system. Same with orienting to the space around you. So we live so much in a virtual reality, right? We're in our minds, we're figuring things out, we're on our screens, right? We're kind of like, we're really good at figuring things out, staying in control, doing everything from the command center. And so even beginning to resource in your space, so softening your eyes, looking around, orienting to your space. A lot of times this is how I will begin a practice or begin working with a client, because once again, it immediately starts to bring you into here and now. What is true, what is current, right here, right now. And it's really important to allow your head to follow your eyes. It supports kind of the social system of the nervous system and helps really feel connected and belonging. Connection and belonging. Not so great at the talking today. So orienting yourself to the space is another beautiful one. Pleasure. So there's a lot in resourcing in pleasure, and I am not an expert by any means, so I will just leave it at exploring resourcing in pleasure. So even if that is allowing yourself to really melt as you feel the sun on your face, or to take a little extra time, putting on the lotion, like actually feeling it. There is so much more kind of cushion and space that can happen within us when we allow ourselves to feel pleasure and we orient to it. So our brains kind of go towards what hurts, what's not working, what's wrong, and it's great for survival, but it's not so great for like feeling good in life. And so there's a practice of taking in the good, of letting the pleasurable moments and happy moments and joyful moments sink in just a little bit longer. And I think the science behind it is 20 seconds, which isn't that long, but it has tremendous ripple effects. And so resourcing in pleasure. Another resource is safety. So this is something that you can work with somatically. So all of these, I really encourage them to be much more in the body than in the mind. So to physically feel and get a felt sense of safety. One of the easiest ways I find to begin this is to just feel like the safety of the support holding your body. The safety of kind of a weight in your body. The places that feel heavy or grounded. So that is another place to explore. And I have quite a few pocket practices, which are downloadable audio practices and guided meditations to support in being able to tune in and feel into our bodies, because it's not something that we're taught, and it's, I believe, most of us, something that we kind of cut off from. And so it's a rewilding, it's a coming back home, it's a learning how to feel into your bodies and befriend those physical sensations, because it can be really scary in here. So that's another thing to keep in mind if you are already being like, how the heck do I ... is incremental. So beginning with simply seeing if you can feel sensations in a pleasurable situation, like taking a shower. Can you tune in for 30 seconds to really feeling how the water feels on your body? Those little moments can accumulate, and then you get a better, it's just like going to the gym, right? But instead of doing push-ups, you're doing like little body snapshots. And your ability to do that gets stronger, and it just becomes something that happens a bit more naturally. So some other cool things to resource in before we close out. Resourcing in an empowered archetype. So I really like this one. I was an actor for a long time, and one of the things I really loved about being an actor was that I didn't have to be me, which meant that I got to feel what I wanted to feel, say what I wanted to say, do what I wanted to do, because there wasn't these consequences of being Aspen. There was permission and freedom and liberation. And so now in my life, when I feel like, oof, I don't know if I can do this, like this feels pretty stretchy for Aspen for me to get to all the way over here. But what could I resource in? What kind of empowered archetype could I kind of put on as if I was putting on some clothes, a character? Well, if I was this fierce, brave, badass boss, I probably could go over here and do this thing. So what if I kind of begin to evoke that energy within me? Just as kids do, just as kids pretend to be Superman and all of a sudden they feel like that they can do anything, right? Same with an empowered archetype of calm, peaceful, present, or the warrior, like whatever supports you in that moment, the creative, passionate, infinite potential female goddess, like it can be anything. So that's a really fun thing to play around with. And once again, putting it into your body. So how would that empowered archetype move and dance and walk through life? It's something really fun to play with. Some other things to resource in that I find super supportive are the elements. So earth, feeling that grounded, rhythmic, pulsing, consistent, strong presence, and feeling what are those qualities in my body, because we are the perfect blend of the elements. We are earth and water and fire and air. So to find and embody those qualities within me. Same with water, right? So life can be challenging, right? And I can be filled with self-doubt. So how can I begin to invite a little bit more fluidity in and a little bit more flow and that ability to not hesitate and just go right over the rock in the river, right? And same with fire and heat. How could I bring a little bit more of that healthy aggression into my system so that I can do this and I feel confident and I can set boundaries and I can say no, right? Some of those qualities of fire. And then just to wrap it up, another resource I really love is just your senses. So what can you see? What can you touch? What can you taste? What can you smell? When we come into our senses, once again, that's another thing that brings us into our bodies and into the present moment, and it can be really supportive and grounding. And to think about why. Why does this matter? Why would it be cool or valuable for me to be able to resource, to have a deeper capacity for resourcing? And you can think about, for example, if you're in a fight with your partner and you want to rip their face off, would it be valuable to be able to resource and tap into some other type of energy in your body that could support you in calming, in rinsing the system, in connecting back to them, in connecting to what matters, or in setting a boundary and walking away and taking some space? There is so much power when you're not having to do everything alone. Like, I almost feel that a lot of these tools and practices that I have, they're kind of like this gang of superheroes behind me. And I'm walking through the world and I'm not alone. There is so much more available to me. And it just takes a little bit of practice, like going to the gym, right? If you wanted to win the push-up challenge, you would practice at home. And it's really important to do that. So to not just try to call on resources when you're like about to lose your mind and then you're like, it's not working, why can't I make it work? So if we don't practice at home, then it's like trying to learn how to swim in a tidal wave out there in the world. So when you're feeling okay, like I said, when you're taking a shower or going for a walk, seeing if you can embody that resource a little bit more. So what does it feel like in my body when I'm connected to earth energy? What does it feel like in my body when I'm connected to that power that I have, that ability to kind of just burn through all obstacles and see things through. So you're strengthening these energies within you. And it's pretty cool. So to wrap up, take something, one of the resources that felt kind of appealing, and just put it into play out in life. See what happens, even if it's really small and incremental, because that's how you really build up the foundation. And as always, comment, let me know what you think, subscribe, check out my website. There are tons of free resources, like a bajillion free resources. And I also have a really powerful monthly membership where we do embodiment practice, where you're led and guided through what it feels like to move and to sound and to explore. Each month there's a theme. So this month is trust. So exploring in your body, what does it actually feel like to lose my trust, to feel self-doubt, to get worried? And then what is it like to explore getting my trust back, finding my feet, tapping back into my power, and expanding that energy in my container, in my body. It's all super cool stuff. There's also a monthly meditation membership and one-on-one embodiment coaching and just tons and tons and tons of stuff. Podcast, blog, all the things. So check that out, and sending you so much love. And the last resource that is always available is to feel others. So to reach out, to connect, to tune into the other humans on this planet, to tune into the other beings and animals on this planet, to connect back to your wildness and to connect back to your belonging. So I will leave you with that you are not alone, and that we are all in this together. Mwah.